Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the United States of America. I'm sorry for the people that have been making, kind of waiting for me to make this series go on. I've run into several issues while I've been trying to make this series, and for one thing, I ended up having my motherboard gave out on me. So that actually kind of ruined the save file that I had, because whenever the way that Eversims games work is that they basically are attached to your components that are inside of your computer. So whenever that happened, I actually lost the file because I had to completely reinstall Power and Revolution, and then I lost everything that was in that specific Power and Revolution. So that was fun to go through, unfortunately, and so I did come back to the United States, and I went through, kind of did a couple of things, but I think we're gonna kind of restart somewhat. I don't know how many times I've had to restart this series, but for the love of God, if I have to restart one more time, I'm dropping the United States entirely. I'm sorry if you guys want more of the United States. I'm just gonna have to be done with the United States for a while. Next series, I'm gonna start having discussions about what the next series is gonna be. I'm looking at the Federative Republic of Brazil. Why does PG say the entire name of the country? I don't know. I just like to be formal. But we are thinking about doing Brazil in the next series, and I would have a lot of input from one Gabe Vogel if that were to happen. So Gabe, if you were watching this, which I know you are, definitely do give me some suggestions on what you want me to do with Brazil if that is going to be the next series. Very likely it's going to be the next series. I'm really thinking about doing Brazil. If you have not watched Gabe Vogel's video on India, he has made 5 episodes from the recording of this video, so definitely do watch his India series if you have not. Anyway, let's go ahead and get right into it. Let's go ahead and see our situation that we are in right now. We have a 2.43% budget deficit. We did pass, and in the previous episode, I did actually pass the company turnover tax, and the company turnover tax basically gave us about $500 billion, and that cut our deficit tremendously from nearly 6% in the previous episode to about this number right here. I think it was about 3 or 2%. I can't really remember, but we are going to go ahead and pass a couple of more tax reforms. And we're going to do this. We're going to go ahead and use the amount of money that we have with the company turnover tax, and we're going to create the growth that company turnover tax is kind of killing. So we're going to go ahead and again do this. And I know again I did this in the previous episode, but we are going to do this again just so we can create the growth, because again I had to restart the save. So we're going to call this the American Tax Act. Well, actually, I think I already called it the American Tax Act. We're going to call this the Tax Reform Act of 2021. And kind of sounds similar to the American Tax Act 2021, but we're going to be call it that. Actually, instead of calling it the year, we're just going to call it the Tax Reform Act. We're going to go ahead and enter that there. And we're going to create that. It's going to cut about $25 billion from our national economy, or not economy, from our revenues. So let's go ahead and lower the employer Social Security payments to about 15%. It's going to cut about the same amount. So we were losing about $50 billion from the national revenue source. So we're going to go ahead and again add that to the Tax Reform Act of 2021. We seem to have 100% support from the Democrats and 60% opposition from the Republicans. So we're gonna look. What are we gonna be doing? Tax on financial transactions. Could we do this? No, not yet. But I do want to create. Actually, that's probably gonna kill our agriculture sector. So I'm not gonna do that yet. We're not going to do a redundancy tax. Highway toll, carbon tax, tax on large companies, and a tax on large fortunes. Let's go ahead and create a tax on the large fortunes. And let's see how much that is going to get us. Oh, that is a very, very much opposition against We could do 0.1%, and that actually gets a little bit more support. We actually do want to do 0.15%. It's going to get us $16 billion, and we're going to increase that over the next couple of years. Let's go ahead and add that to the Tax Reform Act of 2021, and we barely get that to pass, so we need to add one more piece of legislation to this in order to get it to go down. So I did lower the company tax from 21%. We're going to lower that to about 15% in order to continue large economic growth that we continue to want to have. We're not going to increase the gun tax. It's more of just kind of like to prevent people from getting guns. We're not going to do that yet, even though we're a Democratic presidency. I do. Wow, that is loud. Exoneration in real estate is going to cost, wow, $280 billion. Let's continue to go on. We're going to go through, and we're going to go through the month of April, and I'm going to try to get through the quarter as Gabe kind of does, and I'm trying to take examples from him. And again, go watch his India series if you have not. We're going to continue. Every episode is going to be one quarter. We're going to go through the episodes, and then that's going to be about 3 months that are under our belt, and then 3 months of change that we are able to continue on with. So let's look. Unfortunately, I do not have God and Spy anymore, and I'm trying to get that fixed as well, but I was not able to do that, and I didn't want to wait any longer.
The hostage takers liberated their hostage. This is an immense relief for the family, who have expressed their immense gratitude.
Wow, they actually they released him. That is a interesting development with that hostage situation. I didn't even do anything. I was just waiting for our secret services to capture the person that was taken hostage.
I have to tell you that I am filled with pride to be the mother of a leader who is so loved.
Thank you so much, Mom. I like the idea that you're telling me how great it is to be the mother of the President of the United States. I believe that Joe Biden's president, or yeah, Joe Biden's president. Joe Biden's mother is still alive. Yeah, she actually still is alive because I had to confirm that one time. Let's look. Reaction of the Secretary of the Economy. You want the results. Tom Baden is offering them on a plate. Awesome. Reaction to the Secretary. You wanted results. Same thing. So my cabinet secretary seemed to like to tell me that they like to offer things to me in a plate. And that's awesome to hear from them. Let's go ahead and go over to energy. Look at our energy situation right here. We need to increase the amount of nuclear power plants that we have, especially after that big snowstorm in the state of Texas just last month at the beginning of this game. So let's go ahead and invest in about 3 more nuclear power plants in the state of Texas. And then we're going to build one right here, and then we're going to build one outside of the state of Texas. Build this very close to Chicago, but not all the way close to Chicago. Chicago seems to already have several nuclear power plants: the LaSalle, Byron, Dresden, and then Clinton nuclear power plants. I am honestly, as someone who does believe in climate change, and I did have a discussion about this on the live stream that I had not that long ago, I do believe that if we want to take climate change seriously, we need to have a serious investment into nuclear power. This is actually a position that is held by Senator Cory Booker. Cory Booker is obviously one of the most progressive Democrats on Capitol Hill, and he is the senator of New Jersey. And that New Jersey senator, again, Cory Booker, does believe that as he's done more research and gotten more knowledge on climate change, he does believe that, and he sees that nuclear energy accounts for about 50% of the non-CO2 producing power plants that the United States uses. Again, 50% of the non-CO2 power plants are nuclear power plants, even though nuclear energy only accounts for less than 15% of the world of the United States' energy. It accounts for 50% of the non-CO2 producing energy plants. So again, nuclear energy is a very, very safe option. People want to make arguments against it, saying like, well, I mean, there's going to be a nuclear meltdown, there's going to be this, there's going to be that. No, I mean, it's there's always a risk for that, but
Perspective analysis.
let's go ahead and say no to that. We're going to reform our security services as well. Let's go over to security services, and let's go to agents on the national territory, put it to 50,000, and then our international special agents, put it to 500. And then let's go ahead and request that we have 10,000 cyber analysts. And then we're going to give about 2 additional stars to agent training, 1 additional star to fight against terrorism, and then 1 additional star to cryptography and cybersecurity. That's going to inflate our deficit to 3%. And that's what we need just to be able to face any terrorist organization in the world and as well as at home. Let's go over to services, and we're going to go ahead and go through here, and we're going to give them the subsidies that they need in order to grow their economies. So we will see, this will be a little bit of a time-lapse sequence, and I will see you guys on the other side. Alright, and we are now back, finally. You saw what kind of subsidies I was giving out to these services sectors, and lastly, what we're going to do, we did give about $1.5 billion over to the urban transportation sector. So what we are going to do, we're going to, let me look, they're making $1 billion, pretty negligible tax revenues. Let's go ahead and exonerate the sector. And then what we're also going to do is that we are going to get the government involved into the sector. So let's go ahead and see if we can get this passed, and the people seem to be pretty against it, but we can do a TV address and to get that public support and congressional support, and then we do get a pretty good amount of support for that piece of legislation. It does look like that a TV address did work the way it was supposed to, so awesome, awesome, awesome to see that we did get what we needed to do out of that sector. So let's go ahead and go over to creation of a new ambitious space program, and I think we're going to concentrate on the not the taxes, but on some space programs in the next couple of years. I do want to get over to the year 2024, in which we do put a man on the moon with the Artemis program. We're going to create another moon mission in which we are going to send more people to the moon. And we are now in the month of April. Let's go ahead and see what the damage is in order. Yep, we got it right there. Issuance of $212 billion of debt. That is mainly because of the amount of power plants we did request to be built by the federal government. So that is a lot of money that we needed to borrow in order to build those power plants.
The bill has been
voted on, and the law has been passed. So awesome to see that we do get that passed. China network.
Perspective analysis.
We're gonna continue to go on. Let's go over to Secret Services, and let's go over to Terrorists, and then let's go to Jihadist Caliphate. And then we're going to place these two guys under surveillance just to watch over them to make sure that they are not doing anything to hurt anyone in the United States. And let's go over here, 1.08 annual growth, in contrast with the previous estimate of 1.93. We can do better. Yes, this is an average figure. It reflects an economy with moderate dynamism. and then we can do better. So let's go ahead and infiltrate the Russian mafia and the Chinese mafia, just because they are causing more of an issue right now than they have than other terrorist organizations in the United States. 3%, so awesome to see. Let's go ahead and go on, and then that guy will let us know whenever there is about to be a terrorist attack by that organization that we're watching over. So let's go ahead and go over here, and then just check on them again. Currently monitoring, they're not seeing anything as of right yet. Let's continue to go on. Seem to be frozen right there. Always see that. I know a lot of people do see that, and sometimes it actually does bug out to the point to where that it kind of stays there and they cannot go on any longer. Beneficial popularity, China discovers a Hyperloop, blah, 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 blah. Transportation system, Argentina has abandoned their moon mission. So we need to continue to go on. And let's go over to research, see carbon nanofiber. When are we going to discover you? Between 2023 and 2025, so around the same time that we do discover fusion nuclear power plants, which cannot wait to discover those. 2025 to 2027. Wow, that is a long time before we can actually discover those. So let's go ahead and go over here. Give more money to fusion, and 2025 to 2027. So that is energy and environment that also needs to be funded. Wow, we are not funding that as much as we need to be. So let's go ahead and give them full funding. And then go over to fusion nuclear energy, 2025 to 2026. And so we'll be on the moon before we actually discover fusion nuclear power in the future. So let's continue to go on. Hopefully we do get around to that 2025 marker. Mont Baker awakens in the state of Washington. The volcano began spitting columns of black smoke and ash, and we have discovered an opening of eruptive cracks in the crater. Do you want to order evacuation of the population? Let's go ahead and order this evacuation, and then Mont Baker, it is up here. 31,000 people flee Mount Baker. Is it Mont Baker or Mount Baker? So you could actually tell me that in the comments below. Let's go over to Army, Construction, and then Refugee Camp. Let's go ahead and build a refugee camp in the state of Washington. That way that they do not have to be traveling far and wide, or even up to Canada, in order to flee the disaster that is coming. We see that our refugees are now on their way to Canada, even though we are spending a couple $1 million on that refugee camp. So hopefully they either come to Canada. It's usually the refugee situation needs to be fixed in this game, because the refugee situation, sometimes they basically kind of like go, and then like these refugee camps basically take way too long to create. Because, I mean, they hold a lot of people. Like, the amount of people that they can hold is no issue. But the amount of time that it takes, especially whenever you have to order evacuations for hurricanes or something like that, I think it should take maybe 2 to 5 days in order for these camps to be developed. Because by the time the disaster is over, I mean, they don't take, I mean, they're already either home, they like kind of travel back, or they just go to another camp in a nearby country. So, or sometimes, I mean, I've seen people like in this area right here just travel all the way into the middle of the Pacific Ocean, and then all those people just die. So it's kind of, I don't know, the refugee system in this game kind of does seem a little bit broken. So Eversim, if you were watching my videos, do look into that. I need to make a whole video of just kind of things that need to be improved for the next geopolitical simulator game. I know that would
analysis coupled with the Brown model on.
No, we're not going to do that. Reawakens, 31,000 people. Telling me to create a refugee camp. I need to make a video in which we need to, it's kind of like a request thing, because I know a lot of people, whenever a new game comes out, then they just say, like, hey, this is what we want for the game after the game that just came out. So I need to make a video of just kind of like the amount of stuff that needs to be in the next geopolitical simulator game. A new engine would be one thing, because I mean, this map sometimes just gets tired of looking at. They need a completely new engine for the next game, and if they don't, okay. I mean, but I mean, we've had the same map since about 2012, 2013, since Geopolitical Simulator 3, which was the first one that I played. Was Geopolitical Simulator 3. If you guys actually have been on this channel the longest, I have been playing Geopolitical Simulator since terrible volcanic eruption. Let's go ahead and look. Mount Baker volcano has just started erupting. According to my information, flows of magma have appeared on the surface and descended down the sides. The eruptive phases could again last many days. We have proceeded with the timely evacuation of the population. We have avoided a major humanitarian catastrophe, so it's great to see 125 people have lost their lives in this disaster. When was this? 4/23/2021. For those who are watching right now, if this comes true, 4/23. If any volcano erupts in the United States around this time, I did not predict it. I am not The Simpsons. I am not The Simpsons. It's gonna be a fun time if I predict the future. Always faster. The railway sector has done it. They have just developed a new generation of Hyperloop train capable of exceeding 2,000 kilometers an hour. This was made possible by creating an even higher vacuum in the train's tubing, thus reducing air friction. We are ready to start building new Hyperloop lines. We are not the first, but we can profit a lot from this technology since our manufacturing process is very specific. So let's go ahead and go over to the transport sector, and then we'll go over to construction, and let's go over to Hyperloop. Let's go ahead and decide on a city that we're going to build a Hyperloop through. We can do like Washington to Chicago. That would be an interesting line. I like to develop California's high-speed rail lines, so I think a Los Angeles to San Francisco line would make sense. We could also do Las Vegas to Los Angeles, or maybe Phoenix, Albuquerque, Lubbock. We could let's do Los Angeles to San Francisco. I've done this before, and it's actually it's completed in a pretty timely manner. So let's get this to come right along the coast, right next to the bay. It's going to be $23 billion. Let's do 20 people per mile, 12 months, $12 billion, $62 billion over the next 5 years. Go ahead and confirm that. And I get an achievement for that. Train of the Future. The Hyperloop achievement has been achieved for Power and Revolution. So we do see that this line does kind of skim along the coast, and that will get, very likely, it would get passengers from one end to the other within about several hours. I mean, it takes like way longer. I think it takes maybe 5-6 hours to get from Los Angeles to San Francisco, even though it is a highway straight line shot. But this Hyperloop will probably get them there between 45 minutes and an hour and a half. Chicago, Los Angeles, San Francisco high speed. You can already draw some conclusions. First of all, it is good for national tourism, which will benefit from this new infrastructure. Lastly, the cities chosen for the train stations are excellent choices and will contribute to their region's development. So we do contribute heavily to the economy of California that we get a new high-speed rail line going straight from Los Angeles to San Francisco, going to be a very, very used line. And then from Los Angeles all the way up to Bakersfield, to Fresno, to Stockton, and then to San Francisco, and then to Sacramento, and then to Stockton again. All of that is going to be connected through high-speed rail lines. So let's go to transportation. And let's go to high-speed train line. Let's go from Los Angeles to Bakersfield. Let's get that completed. It's going to be cheaper than Hyperloop. Let's going to be $5.6 billion. Let's get that done in less than 5 months. Yeah, let's do 20 people, same amount of people on the other line, and then we will get that done. $4.6 billion over the annually, and then $23 billion over the next 5 years. Most likely, we're going to be able to pay it off pretty quickly. Environment. We need to stop inflating our deficit. We are going to stop the amount of spending that we're doing right now, and then we're going to get to the end of the month. And so April... May, June, July. I think we're going to try to get to the month of July in this episode. I was anxious to congratulate you personally as the whole government on your management of the catastrophe. The evacuation, well managed by the police, allowed us to save numerous lives. I hope this has set an example for other countries likely to undergo the same kind of catastrophe. We have a meeting with this president of South Africa. Let's go ahead and accept that meeting.
One of my men succeeded in infiltrating key center.
All right, let's go ahead and try to take down the Russian mafia, see how we can do that. Craig Wiley victorious in the U.S. Gulf tournament. Residents return 435. The number of homeless people is estimated to be about 435,000 people, and no doubts that it will take some time to rehouse them all. Let's go over to housing and see what that did to my homeless. Well, I mean, that's nationally. I guess it's nationally, not just in that area alone. Let's continue to go. Mont Baker cleanup teams go to work, and conditions remain difficult in some places as the earth is still hot. It is not unusual to see bulldozers' tires exploding under the heat. It's a lot to make. Let's go ahead and pause. And perfection of digital paper. Trees can sleep tight at night, but we're not the first, but we can profit a lot. Let's go ahead and accept that patenting opportunity. A bionic system of external, bionics, artificial intelligence, and robotics. So that's going to help our robotics sector.
Good morning. I didn't come empty-handed.
I didn't come empty-handed, and let's see what you want to do. You want to sell us some coal, 29 million worth of coal. And then for a reasonable price, we could actually accept that. For a reasonable, and I mean, it's kind of like minimal compared to the rest of our economy, so we're gonna not do that. Efficient prevention policy to manage the eruption in Washington state. The investment in eruption prevention policy has proven useful, and we can be pleased with it. We have a meeting from Trinidad, and we have some money coming in for the disaster. I was waiting for...
It's true that the bloke...
Okay, partial dismantlement, that's okay. 2 arrests. But I'm waiting for the reimbursement to come in. Aha, here we go.
The population affected by the disaster
estimated at nearly $8.46 billion. That's pretty manageable. We could actually give out $10 billion in compensation to everyone that was affected. That's only because I'm affecting, which represents a total sum of $10.1 billion. I had a lot of positive feedback on your policy regarding compensation, and the government has responded perfectly to the needs of our fellow countrymen. So we managed that disaster perfectly as our first natural disaster as president of the United States, Joe Biden. This is, again, the first disaster. However, I mean, in real life, we did have a tragic snowstorm that hit the state of Texas, and not just Texas, but everywhere basically within this area right here. However, the most underprepared state in this tragedy was the state of Texas that I live in. This state was not prepared for it, and basically the reason that it went so wrong is because of the amount of gas plants that we have, and the gas lines basically froze up, and they were not winterized as other states are, because a lot of other states have winterized their equipment to be able to face colder temperatures than normal. But Texas has always had some sort of bipolar complex whenever it comes to weather, and we were not prepared for that winter storm. We have a forest fire in the state of Washington. That is Washington is just
succeeded in infiltrating.
Let's go ahead and accept that. Washington just likes to get hit by just so many different natural disasters. Let's go ahead and see 0 deaths as of right now. Usually these things don't kill anyone. I've never really seen a forest fire kill anyone unless it's the firefighters that do respond to it, because they actually tell you about that, and then you actually have to lower your flags for national mourning because of the tragedy that happens with your firefighters whenever they get stuck in these fires. Hopefully that is not what happens in this go around. Forest fire situation is under control. The fire is present under control thanks to the intervention of firefighting forces, according to the latest report. The fire should be curbed in the next few days, and the risk of starting a new one is almost non-existent. Awesome to see that our forest fire management is underway. So we have 2 natural disasters in the state of Washington that we completely respond perfectly to. Nearly $7 billion. Jesus Christ, that was costly. That's costly. Jesus, what the hell did it burn down? Like
Our
7
governmental cell
mansions?
informs me that it...
Ooh, let's go ahead and spy on Gabe. 69,000 hectares. Someone could actually do that. Do the math on that. How much money is that per hectare? How much money is that per hectare? If that's, we're gonna go ahead and go, since we are all the way over here, we're gonna go ahead and go to the national holiday instead of just at the end of the quarter, and then we're gonna end this episode there. Let's go ahead and see immigration. We need to do a regularization of the situation with the immigration situation in the next episode. That is going to be the focus of the next episode, is dealing with the immigration. We're going to pass some hefty immigration reform, and then that is going to be a pretty big focus in the next episode. So do not miss that episode. That's going to be an awesome one to see. Forest fire in the country of Turkey. Hopefully it burns a little bit more down. No, I'm just kidding. Syria, terrorist bombing. What is new? 1,342 people have been killed, injured, and 462 people have been killed in that bombing, unfortunately. I've seen like just strings and strings of bombings just all over Syria. They have a massive terrorist issue. Unfortunately, so I wish Syria was actually playable. Otherwise, I would be doing a couple of gameplays with them. I actually am very interested in the state of Syria. But Iraq is actually pretty much playable now. Beside their economy, let's look. Inflation 19.5%, 25%, and then a 4% deficit. Our deficit is actually starting to grow similar to that, but it's not around that 5-6% level that it was at the beginning of the game. So let's go ahead and Orion, and then $122 billion worth of debt, and that is down from the $200 billion that we actually had to borrow in the last quarter. So let's go ahead and go over to July 4th. Go over to July 4th. Come on, let's go. And July 4, appearance at the president at the national festival.
My fellow countrymen and women.
All right, on this solemn day, gives that good old speech that we all know and love. So anyway, this is going to be the end of the episode. Let's go ahead and leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you are new, guys. If you guys want to see more United States episodes, definitely do hit that bell notification icon so you don't miss any more content that I make on this channel, especially live streams. I've been trying to do a lot more live streams now. So do not miss any live streams that I make. Just hit that bell notification icon so you don't miss anything that I do make. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you guys so much for watching this. Make sure to tune into the next episode whenever we deal with the immigration crisis in the United States. I'll see you guys in the next episode. Thank you guys so much for watching, and take care.